Welcome to Nature Therapy Online. Hello there, folks, and welcome to episode 3 of Nature Therapy Online. I'm Stephen, and I'm a nature therapist based in the Midlothian area of Scotland, and I provide nature therapy online to people all over the world at my website at naturetherapyonline.net. So if you've tuned in to my previous couple of podcasts, you'll know a little about what this podcast is about, and that's all about me discussing nature and how nature is so good for our mental health and how good it is for us to reconnect with the big picture and come out of our messy thoughts more often and more deliberately on a daily basis. And a part of what I do in my own ecotherapy practice, both personally in my own life, but also for the clients who I work with, is mindfulness and what that means in a nature therapy context. Because I think there's a lot of confusion about what mindfulness actually is and about what mindfulness means. So mindfulness is about paying attention. That's it. It's about paying close attention to what's going on within us and not getting lost within our thoughts, but finding tools to watch them come and go. As a practice, taking a step back from our thoughts and seeing them come and go, choosing which ones are good for us and not letting them define us, like a part of our body and our function, the way we can choose to make our feet walk or not. We can choose to let the thoughts come and pay attention, or we can let them go. And in nature, for me, a big part of it is paying attention to this incredible, beautiful world that we live in. The place that is the most gorgeous planet in our solar system. And acknowledging that, sure, we have messy thoughts, but it doesn't have to distract us from seeing what's going on around us. Mindfulness in nature can be done anywhere, can be done in the city, walking along the road and paying attention to the feeling of your bones moving, looking at the concrete and seeing where the weeds pop up. I love doing that. Have you ever tried doing that? It's such a beautiful thing to do. We see this green aliveness always taken over. The city is always at war with it. But if we move away from places for a short while, the nature always returns. And that's what's going on. When we see weeds and wildflowers popping up through the cracks, and it happens even in the biggest, most concrete metropolises. There's always birds flying around in pretty much every area of the globe where humans inhabit anyway. There's usually birds. We can pay attention. We can really tune into our senses one by one. Tuning into our senses is such a powerful thing to do. To take some time to sit quietly. And you can do this even where there's an open window at home if you find it hard to get out sometimes for whatever reason. And we can sit and we can close our eyes, tune into everything we can hear. Because even if you live in the city, and all you hear is traffic. If you pay attention long enough, you will hear nature. The wind is nature. Pigeons are nature. People are nature. Listen to life. You can move to the feeling of the breath, of the atmosphere around us going in and out of your body. Oxygen is nature. Carbon dioxide is nature. What is all this? I think asking that question once a day is such a core part of ecotherapy. What is this? What's going on? Why am I here? But don't expect an answer and don't look for one. It's not important. It's important just to recognize it. And sometimes by asking the questions, we can recognize it. We might want to, when we're sitting with our eyes closed and we're listening to what's going on, and we next move into the sense that we feel when we breathe. If we're outside, you might want to feel around when you're doing this, see if there are natural objects. Just paying attention to them, how they feel against your skin. Taking some time to look at a stone that could be millions of years old. Could have taken millions of years to form like that. Or even a simple stick that's grown from a seed out from a tree and has ended up in your hands, driven by some force that we don't really understand. We might also want to see if we can smell anything in our area. Might not always be pleasant. Might be polluted. Might be upsetting. But that tunes us into what's going on around us anyway. Have you ever tried going for a walk and not naming things? So, let's say you're able to get to a woodlands or a park somewhere. And you walk through and you start paying attention to how much you label everything that's going on as an experience that you know and understand. And so you stop paying attention to it any closer. Notice how you do that. So, for example, I walk through the forest and I see a huge redwood tree, one of the biggest trees in the world. And the first time I ever see it, I'm awestruck at the size of this giant of a tree. But then, after I've seen a couple of redwoods, and I've learned that it's called a redwood, I just walk past it. I go, there's a redwood. There's another redwood. And I carry on with whatever's going on in my head. And I don't do what I might have done that first time, which is stand underneath it and feel its bark and look up to how it's towering above and how I feel underneath it and what thoughts and memories and maybe old stories associated with this feeling are going through my mind. I just walk past it and go, there's a redwood. So we have to make an effort because one word, redwood, does not sum up every redwood I walk past. I have to make an effort not to do that, to stop and pay attention again to this being that is growing out of the ground, that has certain things in common with other beings that I label redwood, but has a unique shape and age and structure and place all of its own. I notice that with birds most of all. There's a lot of blackbirds here where I live in Scotland. I love how they pop their heads out from underneath bushes looking for worms. They look very shifty and a little bit camp. Very cute. But I can be so tempted to look and go, blackbird, aren't they shifty and a little bit cute and a little bit camp? Without looking at what this individual one is doing here. This one has a little limp. This one looks quite young. Wow, this one has just flown to an amazingly high height for a blackbird. I don't usually see them that high up. But if I don't stop and I don't look and I don't pay attention, I just say, there's a blackbird. And it's a little bit cheeky and it's a little bit camp, and that's the whole blackbird experience. So try your best. Experiment with not naming things when you're out. And pay attention to your reactions. This is mindfulness in nature and what it is. There is such a thing as mindfulness meditation, but mindfulness itself is not another word for meditation. You can be mindful when you're eating your food, and being mindful when you're in nature is one of the most powerful places to be mindful. If you feel like you need a little help sometimes tuning into your senses, which I think we all do, our minds are so busy, I have a little free download on my website. It's called Ecotherapy Grounding Meditation, and you can go to the page where I have free meditations that's linked at the top, and you can go and download it. And you can, if you have little headphones, you can pop one headphone in your ear, take yourself outdoors, or even open a window, and I will talk you through it. It can be a lot easier, especially when you're starting this, to have someone talk you through it. Or you can just listen to it from the stereo, wherever feels more comfortable. As long as you have at least one ear free to hear what's going on when I invite you to listen. That would be great. I want to say thank you so much to anybody who's listening. I still feel after week 3 that I'm talking out to the wind. But I kind of don't really mind. I'm enjoying having these conversations with myself. I hope some people tune in. For each episode, my cat and my dog have joined me up here in the strain. That's Joro there, scraping against the sofa again. It's one of the things he likes to do when I'm doing this podcast. Keeps me on my toes. They join me here in my little room, so I'm not so alone. And we never are alone in nature. We're always in nature. Thank you. If you want to download the meditation, go to naturetherapyonline.net and download it there. And as we're at week 3, if there is anyone out there and you're enjoying this podcast, it would be really lovely if you could give it a rate or review on iTunes or wherever you find it. Or just drop by and say hi and let me know, hey, I'm a person in the world and I heard your podcast and I like it. That would be really lovely. You take care of yourself and pay attention this week. I'm sending warm energy from Scotland. Bye bye. Visit me online at naturetherapyonline.net.